The ASSA Twin is a group of high-security locks which were originally introduced in the early 1980s. In our first video, we examined the two mechanisms of this lock. In this video, we will explore the timeline, patents, and differences in the models, which can be separated into four categories: driver pins, keyways, side pins, and sidebar design. Let us examine each of these in detail, starting with the driver pins. The ASSA Twins were initially introduced in 1981 with the 6000 model. During this time, ASSA was using gin drivers with matching countermilling. In the mid to late 90s, ASSA transitioned into using barrel drivers with matching serrations in the plug. They ultimately abandoned the gin drivers and used barrel drivers exclusively. This is why the 6000 and V10 models can be found with either gin or barrel drivers, while the rest of the locks can only be found with barrel drivers. This brings us to our next topic, which differentiates the models, which is the keyways. The ASSA 6000 has 5 known keyways. The differences are in the direction of the right warding and whether the top is straight or skewed. Here they are all displayed with their keyway number. In 1994, Bo Wyden released a new patent that described the undercut. The undercut is an oblique or vertical cut into the key which physically separates the twins' two mechanisms with an additional warding in the keyway. This improves security by improving key control and creating a more restrictive keyway against picking. Every subsequent twin model had a different keyway and incorporated this undercut as its patent protection. It is the reason that the V10, Exclusive, Pro, and Maximum all had their patents expire simultaneously in 2014. In 2009, Bo Wyden released his latest patent for the twin series. It described a longitudinal groove in the inner wall of the undercut. This further improved key control by making the key even more difficult to manufacture. This changed the Maximum profile into the Maximum Plus profile by adding this little extra blue section and extended the patent protection on the twin line until 2030. Now let us turn our attention to the different side pins. There have been 6 different side pin designs for the ASSA Twins. The 6000 and Exclusive shared a side pin, the old V10 side pin, the new V10 side pin, the Pro side pin, the Maximum and Maximum Plus shared a side pin, and finally, the BALTIC Exclusive side pin. The 6000 and later, the Exclusive, shared the same side pin. This was the original side pin design for the ASSA Twin. It is a symmetric pin that can rotate within its round chamber. The true and false gates wrap 360 degrees around the pin, and each gate is evenly spaced 1 millimeter away from its adjacent gate. When we compare the 6000 Exclusive side pin to every other side pin design, we see that the other models have a tighter distribution of false gates around their central true gate. This gives the 6000 Exclusive side pin some unique properties which will be discussed in a future video. In 1988, Bo Wyden filed for a new patent which described new, non-symmetric side pins which had 3 different types of projections that can interact with the key. They were labeled right, center, and left. This allowed for side pins to have master keying capabilities. In its final design, ASSA used 2 types of projections, left and right. This allowed for 2 times the amount of side bidding positions on the key for a total of 10 positions. The new lock was aptly named the V10. The V10 side pin underwent a redesign at some point. The old design had false gates which wrapped around the whole pin and was missing the lowest false gate, for a total of 3 false gates. The new design has its 4 false gates milled on one face of the pin that directly faces the sidebar. The Twin Pro introduced a central V-shaped projection on the back side of the pin to interact with the key. There are corresponding V-shaped notches on the side of the key. The Maximum and Maximum Plus share a common side pin, which has a skewed V-shaped notch on the back. This allows for left and right side pins and a key with 10 side bidding positions, just like the V10. Finally, the BALTIC Exclusive has a central V-shaped projection similar to the Pro, but has a wider true gate to accommodate its sidebar's unique and wider double fence. This brings us to our last item to examine, the sidebar. Almost all the twin locks share the same sidebar design with a single horizontal ridge called a fence in each of its 5 positions. Each position has one of 5 possible bidding heights. This sidebar's bidding is 4, 2, 2, 4, 1. For reference, this sidebar has all 5 positions in ascending order. The single fenced sidebar is designed to interact with one gate at a time. Here we have a cross-section of the single fenced sidebar with a number 4 cut. This cut starts off in a false gate in the ASSA 6000. If we release some tension, we can move the side pin up to the next false gate, and then the true gate. The only twin with a unique sidebar is the BALTIC Exclusive. It has a double fence in each of its 5 positions and has 4 bidding heights. This sidebar's bidding is 2, 1, 4, 1, 3. For reference, this sidebar is bidded 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The BALTIC double-fenced sidebar is designed to interact with 2 adjacent gates simultaneously. This is a cross-section of the double-fenced sidebar with a number 4 cut. This cut starts off in 2 adjacent false gates. Tension is released and the side pin is lifted to the next double false gate position. The next position is a mixed false and true gate. And finally, the double width true gate to accommodate the double fenced sidebar. Now that we have examined these 4 categories, we can put this all together by reviewing each model chronologically. The ASSA 6000 was the first twin released to commemorate ASSA's 100-year anniversary in 1981. It has 5 keyways and a round, symmetric side pin with evenly spaced gates. It can be found with either barrel or gin drivers. The 6000, along with every model aside from the BALTIC Exclusive, has a single fence sidebar. The V10 was the next twin brought to market in 1996. It was the first twin to feature the undercut. The V10 has a patented side pin with 2 types of projections, giving the key 10 possible side bidding positions for master keying. The side pin underwent a redesign, so there are 2 variations. The V10 is more commonly found with barrel drivers and rarely gin drivers. Every subsequent lock was only produced with barrel drivers. The V10 has different names in different geographic regions. In North America, it is simply known as the V10. In Western Europe, it was named the Twin 2, and in the Baltics, it was called the Twin Global. The ASSA Exclusive was produced in the year 2000. It is identical to the 6000, but featured an undercut, which increased pick resistance due to its restrictive keyway. Its key is backwards compatible with the ASSA 6000's 51 keyway. The Twin Pro was introduced in 2003. It features a central V-shaped projection on its side pin. It is marketed to large institutional end users and shipped directly from the factory. The Twin Maximum was next in line in 2005. It is compatible with ASSA's electromechanical locking system called Click. Its side pins have a skewed V-shaped notch that allow for master keying like the V10. The Twin Maximum Plus is the latest model, which was released in 2013. It is identical to the Twin Maximum with a slightly different keyway. This takes advantage of a patented key that has a longitudinal groove in the inner wall of the undercut. Finally, and out of chronological order, is the BALTIC Twin Exclusive, which was introduced in 2002. It was geographically restricted to the Baltic region. It featured a unique sidebar with dual fences and a side pin with a wider true gate to match. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the presentation and learned something new. Please like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss my next video, which will examine the theory of picking ASSA barrel drivers.